It's a sunny day in late March 2005, just before Easter Sunday. Beautiful day as we look outside the windows of City Hall to what appears to be a rather stable ice cover on Lake Champlain, but we hope the heck it goes away pretty soon. With Mayor Dan Stewart. How are you, Dan?
Down the ferry real quick.
Oh my goodness, we've lived through that many times. All I can say is my wonderful Morrisonville is going very nicely.
It's been really nice to have 40-degree temperatures and down to 20. Nice and slow instead of that big warmth. Next thing you know, icebergs ripping out trees and houses and everything.
Don't need it, don't want it.
No, not a good thing.
Been through that so many times with the trailer parks here in the city and so on. And those days are behind us.
Yeah.
How goes it, Daniel?
Well, I didn't even recognize you when you came in, Gordie. Look at this slim Gordie Little. Look at this. He's almost a six-pack ab guy.
I can only hold it in for a minute.
Holy cow! Yeah, I lose about 15 or 20 myself. So
I did manage to put on a couple in Puerto Vallarta a couple of weeks.
Oh yeah, you lost about 80, right?
But I did very well so far.
Good for you. Congratulations.
We
Good
just
for the
go
help.
on, and thank you very much, and I feel good. We're recording this the day after a news conference on Empire Zone.
Oh, yeah, which is a really important news conference, and hopefully by next week we'll know that Empire Zones are going to be continued for years to come.
What's the big deal about Empire Zones?
Well, Empire Zones are the catalyst. All of the jobs that we have here, the Bombardier jobs, all the feeder companies, all of those jobs have been based on the attraction of bringing in tax credits for the people that build the facilities and hire the people for the jobs. If we don't have the tools in which to make the jobs happen, we will have job stoppage and job loss if that occurs. So hopefully the state of New York is not going to be dumb enough to mess that up.
We're right on the cusp of what I hope will be a wonderful spurt in economics across the country, and we'd hate not to be able to stay on that bandwagon here.
Well, that's just it, and we've been on that bandwagon for over 10, 12 years now of these zones that have been in effect. And luckily, the city of Plattsburgh has extended those zones over time into the town of Plattsburgh, the entire industrial park up on Route 3, the Cedar Knoll log homes, businesses like that benefit from our zone, which we've extended into the town because we believe it's not about the city, it's not about the town or about the county, it's about our region working together to make sure we have as many jobs here as possible and we grow together.
Seems like only yesterday when you were went through your inauguration all over again, and that's getting to be old hat for you, isn't it?
It was the last one. It was the last one. And Gordie's, you've been our MC on these events and other events, and I appreciate that. But I'm in my final 3 years now, so we got 2 3/4 years left, which hopefully we can get some of those projects through that we're going to, I guess, talk about today. And
that's why we're here, because Kelvin and I love to do the before and after thing. Thanks to a guy by the name of Ron Venn, who's no longer with us anymore, we put this before and after photograph thing on the map. Ron would get an old photograph, stand where that was taken, and take one today. Calvin and I have spent a lot of time walking around the city of Plattsburgh, and I've reflected on what building was there in 1961 when I came here. What did the base area look like in 1952? And so this is going to be one of those before and after things. Okay. It's going to be a pleasure for you to take us around town and show us what some of these major project and plans are, and then to come back when they're completed, hopefully within our lifetimes.
Well, hopefully within 2.5 years, because I believe most of them will be completed, the ones that we'll talk about today. If everything stays on schedule and on time, I believe that the projects we talk about today will be in completion by the time I leave office.
A lot of these things the general population doesn't think about until they go past a street corner and see signs up, so-and-so being constructed by.
Yeah.
Because everybody, unfortunately, doesn't pay attention to what happens in the Common Council.
Some would say that's a good thing, but I think it's important that the public be as informed as possible about what's happening. And I'll be quite honest, unfortunately what happens with these projects is, we're going forward on something, and then I'll walk down the street and someone says, "Oh, Mayor, I'm sorry to hear about the hotel not going up." I'm like, well, where'd you get that from? And we live in a region of rumor. We live in a tremendous rumor mill in this area, and people love to talk about a lot of things that they hear about. And I guess we all do it. Human nature, you want to talk about things. But sometimes the stories get a little messed up. and so hopefully we can rectify some of those beliefs.
Just before we hit the road again, give us an idea what we might be in for today.
Well, we're going to look at the land where a hotel conference center, boat launch, public park, and city parking lot will be built. We'll be looking where we're going to have some downtown growth for a office building and a couple of parking garages, a future outdoor concert area in the downtown, the future arts entertainment district, the old Cumberland Hotel property being reused. Those are just a few of them.
Stay tuned. We're going to have some fun talking today and walking around town as we interview Mayor Dan Stewart of the city of Plattsburgh. We're not outside yet. We're still inside. We made a few moves inside the office here. Tell us what we're looking at, Dan.
Well, the first one we'll look at is where the old Cumberland Hotel was. And
Right.
that burned down many, many years ago.
I was there broadcasting it when it happened.
Really? Okay, so here we have the historical voice of what happened over there, and now we'll look at what may be going in there. There's a developer in Burlington, Mr. Bove. He came over to the city of Plattsburgh. He was driving through one day. He saw this vacant parking lot, and he said, wow, I might be able to put a building here. So he came in to see us. He had heard about a lot of things going on over here. The first thing he designed for us was, or for himself, was this building, which is 50,000 square feet, 3 floors of housing. It would be a downtown housing center with about 950 square foot to 1,000 square foot apartments, 2-bedroom. And they would reach the low moderate income people to give them decent housing in the city of Plattsburgh. What we told him was we really didn't want to see residential on the bottom floor. We'd rather see some commercial retail on the bottom floor going around. So this is a second design that we received. And right now as it stands, this project will have retail on the wraparound from Margaret Street to Court, and then we'll have residential down here on 3 floors, but 2 floors here with underground parking. Okay, and we only lose 8 spots in doing this. And in the downtown core, you know, we were facing this parking crunch, and it was really bad. Luckily, it's gotten better. The county built a lot with 93 spaces. The city moved City Court to the base. That's opened up 40 spaces. You really can find a parking spot in downtown Plattsburgh now. They are available, and more to come after some of the other projects we talk about. So that is the Cumberland Hotel project. First submittal, second submittal. And I think that's one of the things that we have to remember is how these things adapt and change. You know, it's going to be one thing one day, but then you get into the changes and the design is a little bit different. So this, I'm sure, will change again to another design before we have a final product. Hopefully all retail on the first floor, all the way around.
But it's still, it looks like it's a go?
Oh yeah, right now they're doing testing over at the Cumberland Hotel parking lot and making sure that they can go in the ground there. When that burned down, a lot of our downtown has voids in it. You know?
Well, we know.
So it's a matter of finding out what's under that pavement, what do we have to do in order to stabilize that, or what does the developer have to do because we're not the ones paying for it. So it comes out of their pocket. The next project over here, this is what's called the ICV project, Investors Corporation of Vermont. This will be the corner of Durkee Street this way and Broad Street that way, and the Broad Street Bridge being right over here. This is a 55,000 square foot building, 5 stories, and it will hopefully go in the ground in April of this year. We're looking for April 25th as a groundbreaking. I have a video that we can also shoot with the video camera, which will show you how the building and the 2 parking garages will look when it is completed. Then,
Boy, well, that changed the face of it, that whole area.
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. The next issue we've dealt with is Upper Bridge Street, where Giovanni's and Zachary's are. And let's get our site set here. Here's Bridge Street Bridge down here, coming up towards downtown City Hall Place this way, Durkee Street that way, Upper Bridge. You have Zachary's here, Affordable Furniture here, Giovanni's, and Shaboom's. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to reduce this from 2 lanes of travel and 1 parking lane to just 2 lanes of travel. You'll see that we've already knocked out the old sitting area that's over here, and we'll be redoing this in brick pavers through this whole area on the whole downtown. And this area here will probably be done this spring. Okay, so that's our first step on doing this. There'll be a clock here. There'll be a fountain up here with some benches. You'll have some nice trees and nicer outdoor seating area and less of a hangout area, which is what one of the problems has been for years. This is what it'll look like when it's completed, looking up towards Pizza Bono and Woodstocks. Outdoor seating areas on both sides, wrought iron fencing, brick paving, clock, much more conducive to a touristy, restauranty, outdoor cafe area. So that's Upper Bridge Street.
That's so cool.
You like
That's
that one?
great. I love it.
Okay. Now, down on the waterfront, we of course have our hotel project. Now,
This is a biggie.
this is a biggie. This is not the final design, though. In fact, it's changed significantly since this option A came forward. I think we're on option Z. And you know, the most wonderful thing about this is that for the longest time, no one thought it would ever be possible to even build down on the rail yard. 5 years ago, when I became mayor, it was a real shot in the dark. But last night I was speaking at the Lake Champlain Islands Chamber of Commerce meeting, and the facilitator of the meeting, which was a brainstorming session for that chamber, said, anytime you have a vision, I want you to think of it this way. You're watching The Wizard of Oz. And Dorothy and her friends just topped the hill, and they can see Oz in the distance. What is it? Is it clear what's inside? Is it clear what it's going to look like up close? It's not. It's just a little bit blurry. But the closer you get to it, the more that vision comes through, and you finally see what you have in reality. So, this was step one. The reality is that the hotel will actually be situated here. We'll have parking lot coming back here. The boat launch stays here. The community boathouse will actually be over here, and they just bring their canoes and little sailboats over and put them in on the cove. This parking lot we're going out to bid for now. We just approved, I think it was $900,000 for this project Tuesday night, this past Tuesday. And what's happening is the state of New York is paying $500,000 of that, and the developer of the hotel will be paying the city $65,000 a year in order to pay back the other improvements that we're doing. So in the end, the taxpayer is making out very, very well. The municipal lighting department is down here also. We're looking at moving them to Veterans Lane, and when we do that, we'll open up an 8-acre park on the downtown island, which I think, and I hope, because when that happens, I probably won't be here, I hope it goes to parkland. I hope it becomes just for the public, because I think that we really need that one center area. This right here will also be public park along the waterfront.
What a fabulous place, and there has been a tremendous need for this kind of conference center here
Oh, yeah.
forever and ever and ever. How many times have I been in cities away from here saying, I'm sorry, we cannot host the event.
Exactly.
We don't have enough space.
I think the turning point for me was when the City of Plattsburgh Empire Zone Group, which is our Office of Community Development, had to host an Empire Zone conference in Lake Placid. When that happened, it's at that point that I knew there's something seriously wrong when we can't host a city event in our own city. And we really pushed hard. The nice thing here is that 2 hotels are fighting over who's going to come in.
Don't you love it?
Yeah.
It only makes it better for us.
5 years ago, we didn't think it was possible. Now we have them fighting over who's going to come in. So either Hyatt or Hilton is going to win this contract. And one of the 2 will build one of their better products here, Hampton Inn and Suites, or the, oh my God, I always say this, Hawthorne Suites, Hawthorne, I believe is how it's spelled. So either all suites or suites and rooms, and we'll see how that works out.
And if all of this isn't enough to generate some excitement among the people who are viewing this program, I don't know what we can do, sort of setting off some fireworks, because these are ambitious plans.
Well, I'll tell you, I think the thing about it, that the public, I think sometimes, during my last campaign, it came out a lot, why are these outside developers coming in here and developing in the city, and let local people do it, and on and on. I think that the fact that these people from outside want to come in here is a testament of how well we have done as a community, how well our business community has done facing the base closure, the dropping of the Canadian dollar, what we went through for 10 years. Everybody on the outside wants to be a part of what is going on the inside. So rather than that sometimes negativity that I hear about people coming in and buying up land, let's talk about the fact that it is the people of our community that have attracted them through their success. That's the positive side of it. That's the spin I like to use, because it's true.
Well, it's very easy, and I'm sure you do it more than the rest of us do. Compare this relative rural community to other cities this side of 25,000 people where growth is stagnant or negative, and then
Yeah.
look at what we're planning and say, hey, we ain't doing so bad up here.
Only 12 communities in this state were named quality communities, and we're one of them. And there's a reason for that. It's that we're successful. We've been very successful in what we're doing, and we think our things out, and we move them forward, and we do it with pride. We're not, doing half measures here. There's no half measures on this stuff. It's about doing it right and getting the best bang for the buck for the taxpayer, and to put more taxables on the roll. And that's what we've been doing. And there's a lot of cities out there that dream of being in the position we're in today.
And we're the envy of many places, not just in New York State, but other states as well.
Absolutely.
Judge the visitors who will stop in and say, Dan, how the heck are you doing this?
Well, you know what? Actually, we have to talk about my political hero, Buddy Cianci, who is the mayor of Providence. He's doing time right now at Fort Dix for RICO violations, but he was a great mayor of Providence, and I like to look at Plattsburgh as a mini Providence. And I mean a mini Providence. It's about the 10th of the size of Providence, Rhode Island. But it had the same issues of moving a rail yard, bringing people to the waterfront, bringing in a hotel and conference center. And if you look at Providence today compared to 20 years ago, which about 25 years ago I left it, it's an amazing, amazing difference. I think Plattsburgh will be a different looking city within the next 5 years. So people who left here 10 or 15 years ago are going to come back and they're going to say, what in the heck has been going on here? Besides the ones that come in here to visit us and to say hello and find that it's really a nice place to visit.
And before we move on, I just want to say that we worked very hard to preserve our history.
Yeah.
But in doing that, we also have to look to the future, and that's exactly what we're talking about today.
Absolutely, and keeping notice that the history is important, and that's why the City Council is moving forward with a lease very soon for the Transportation Museum. We've been assisting BOPA since its inception. We've supported the Clinton County Historical Association taking over a new building on the Air Force Base and creating a historical campus. I'll be meeting with Clyde Lewis very soon. We're moving the planes across the street for more development by the hospital, which will be coming down. And Clyde deserves to have a Clyde Lewis room in that campus. There has to be one. I talked to him about it. He has some artifacts he wants put in it, and I want to see this park moved, and I want his room in place because Clyde is always telling me the clock's ticking. He said, get that room built, so we're going to do what we can.
He's quite a guy, and he may be around long after we're gone, judging by watching his career since the early 1950s and then long before that with his distinguished career.
Look at the impact he had.
Tremendous
It's incredible.
impact.
Incredible. Yeah. And his next door neighbor, John Iannelli, he keeps me on my toes too. He and Helen, they don't hesitate to pick up the phone. And John still plays the mayor role occasionally. He gives me a little solid advice occasionally.
You and I have spent a lot of time together. When we get together, we talk about those informal chats we used to have on the radio way back when. He said, Gordie, this seat here is getting hotter and hotter.
Hotter and hotter, yeah.
We were both chain smokers in those days.
Really?
Ashtrays piled this high by the time we'd finish an hour. We were both ready for long, long tropical vacations.
Isn't that great?
Well, you have a vision. You had a vision when you started this job.
Yeah. In 2000, when I ran in '99, I was talking about doing some things that would improve the quality of life of the city and to bring it forward with smart growth. And when I came into office, I said, give me 3 to 5 years. If I have 3 to 5 years, you'll start to see it coming through. And we're at the 5-year point right now, and we are starting to see the fruition of what we've been working on. The team in City Hall, the department heads are absolutely outstanding. The workforce in the city is absolutely outstanding, and the amount of hours that my managers have put into these projects beyond what a normal person has to work on a 40-hour work week. Some of these people burn the midnight oil to make sure that these projects are going to go forward, because I think we've all taken them on as our own project. We have pride in them. We're doing it as a teamwork thing. It's not developers coming in here and us saying yes or no. It's about coming in and being a team player, and I can't thank them enough for the success that they've brought to this city.
It'll be interesting because Calvin has already pledged to keep those hometown cable cameras running throughout the duration of all of these projects, and it'll be a real kick to come back to see all of this stuff happening.
Yeah, I want to see it in 3 to 5 years. And you know what? Sometimes I think that we get caught up in ourselves and we don't realize the strides that we are making as a region until we step outside of it. And I know that when I leave the area and go on vacation or something for a couple of weeks, when I come back, it's a fresh feeling of, oh my God, look at what we've been doing. And I sat down with my managers one day and said, let's add up a few things and let's really look at what we've been doing. And there's been a tremendous amount of effort and work that has gone into it. We don't always see it because it's right in front of us every day. It's the people
Like
that
watching your kids grow
That's
up, and
right.
all of a sudden they're
That's right.
as tall as you are.
But when your relatives visit and they say, "Oh my God,"
I have it happen all the time.
Yeah.
I have kids that grew up here that haven't been here for 20 years, and I say, get in the car, we're going
Yeah.
for a ride, like we
Yeah.
used to every Sunday afternoon, and their mouths are open and their eyes are wide.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of it. And we need those people outside to come in and remind us that we're doing okay here. You know.
Perspective is the magic word.
Absolutely.
That's great. Let's take a walk.
Okay.
Oh, what's this?
Oh, I'm sorry. Hey, this is another one we're going to be looking at. Thank you,
Sorry about
Calvin.
that.
Thank you, Calvin. If it wasn't for Calvin, we would have passed on the farmer's
Yes, I
market.
forgot about that.
We'll look at the farmer's market when we're down there. But this right here, these doors, actually, I was inside the farmer's market today, and I'll show you the inside. They may be cutting these doors out today. The doors are in place, the moldings are in place. They just have to cut the metal off the front. The farmer's market is going to be in the hands of what I think is the best group yet to run this building. And they're going to run the farmers and crafters market. And I think it's going to finally be a success, everything that it was meant to be. Farmers will be out here, crafters inside. They'll have 3 garage doors on the front, 2 on the back. There's 1 on the inside here. And finally, we're going to have the right air movement in this building. We're going to have proper lighting and make it more of a useful thing. We want to put a design on the front. We'd like something like this, but we're going to have to find someone to paint it. This right here is actually the design of the hotel, okay? The Hampton Inn and Suites. This would be a 4-story building. If it goes to the Hyatt, it will be a 3-story building. But both of them will have the attachment of the conference center in them, and also a spa and a restaurant. So it's...
I'm sure that many of our viewers don't realize the importance of having a conference center. And I'm going back almost 30 years ago now when I would go, when I was involved in the Associated Press.
Right.
And my colleagues would say, how come you never host this annual event in Plattsburgh?
Right.
And, with 400 or 500 people, I would have to say every time, I'm sorry, we don't have the facilities.
Yeah,
for it."
Angel College Center is really the only place that's been able to hold that many, unless you wanted to go into some large hall, which is not a decorative type thing usually. And I know someone locally is trying one, and hopefully that works out, because you need more than one place. But when the Inn at Smithfield decided to go with Restaurant 99, that really put a damper in what was available locally. The Elks Club has been filling in, the Holiday Inn has been filling in, but we think that the full Monty is going to be on the waterfront.
You got it. It'll be so much fun to watch it happen. And now, can we go, Calvin? We'll see you.
We'll play that videotape too if Calvin wants to see
We'll
it.
do that too.
Okay. Here we go. So if you look at this, Gordie, it's a Durkee Street project of Phase 1. On the right-hand side is affordable furniture. The left-hand side is the parking lot. We're now going by the wine peddler shop, Maui North. You see where we took down the building for the DeRocher building. Here's a farmer's market, which you'll see is enclosed, and the new garage doors are going on it. Looking straight across, you have the West Telcom building. The camera's going to swing. Isn't this great technology?
I love it. Computer animation, just
Well,
great.
you know what? This is how we sell the projects.
Oh,
I
sure.
use satellite imagery, and I use this type of stuff to talk to developers. Now we have the overview of the city parking lot and the farmer's market. Imagine that thing all filled in and with the garage doors on it. Now down here, you're going to see on the south part of the Broad Street area a parking garage level, which will now filter into the screen. That will be phase one of the project is 3 buildings, but that's the first of the 3 buildings. Then on the other side, there'll be another parking garage level, which will go as far over as the farmer's market. And then the building itself from ICV will build up out of that for the 5-story building. And here it comes in right now. You can take a look at that one. And now we'll spin over the top of this. That is what you will have for a building on that corner, which is, once again, we're changing a little skyline here. And it maintains a farmer's market, which I think is very important. And we'll talk when we're down there about some of the other things that we envision for the future of that area.
That's so neat.
How's that?
All right, this is so cool. This is something that almost anybody can do on their computer. We do it all the time. The satellite images.
Yeah.
This is, we were talking about Big Brother.
Right.
And how people can watch each other. And yes, satellites can look at your yard to see how many cars there are.
Yes, they can. In fact, you can find out if anybody's running out the back door. As Calvin is going to see on here, I'm going to go ahead and zoom now, Calvin, and we're going to bring this in. We're coming down to Mother Earth. We're coming down the globe. We're coming down to Plattsburgh, New York. And we're going to actually go right down to the city parking lot that we were just talking about with the ICV project. And let's see. Here's City Hall, where we are sitting right now. And let's come down here to the city parking lot, and we'll zoom this thing in just a little bit more. Maybe we'll tilt it down a little bit, and we'll spin around and see if we can find the farmer's market here and what we expect for the building. So here's where the ICV building will be. Here's the farmer's market, but also we knocked this building down last year. It was the DeRocher building. We're going to put a stage in here for this summer, and this grassy area all up through here is going to be a natural amphitheater, which is going to have a stage, and the downtown partnership, the association of businesses, is paying for the bands to play there. So we'll put a concrete pad so the stage goes on it, and then you come up a little bit further and you have the federal building. The large tree in the front and the fences are going to come down this year. We'll be putting in new trees, new benches, and a fountain in this area, and also a memory park of people in the history of the city of Plattsburgh who have been important, who deserve to have recognition. You also have the Arts Bank right here, the federal building, which is coming back into city control, and then, of course, the Strand Theater. The Strand Theater is a huge project for the city of Plattsburgh, helping its entire revitalization, especially for restaurants and such. So there's a little look at what we're working at. So if anybody's wondering about Big Brother, that might just be your car.
Isn't that fantastic how they can do that? And there are several different websites where you can get involved on satellites to look at areas.
This one here is keyhole.com, KEYHOLE.com, and it's $29 a year. But I can tell you this, that with the Common Council, when we're going over an idea and a project, or when we talk with developers, we use this on the screen in my office with the projector, and we go in exactly at the land we're talking about, and we look from above to see what we can do for tomorrow.
That's way better than trying to draw it up there with a chalk.
It sure is. It's just like your cameras. I mean, if you weren't out there bringing this to people, how else can they visualize it? You know, and through the animations and through the satellite imagery, we can do that.
We live in a good time,
don't we? Don't we? Remember,
really, technology is
remember
so
the phones where you had to wait for the thing to come back?
Well, I know. When Bird Burdan did draw it on a chalkboard.
Well, I'll tell you, I mean, I have a BlackBerry now, which I use for work, and I have my internet, my email, my calendar, my phone, and my Direct Connect all in one item there, and it's just incredible.
And who knows what the next step will be.
Sometimes I wonder if we're becoming too productive.
It's amazing. It's almost faster than we can digest it.
It is.
All right, let's look at some of these great sites.
Guys, how you doing?
All right, we're in downtown Plattsburgh, and we're in a very busy corner in downtown Plattsburgh, about 100 feet from where I work in the probation department in the old Clinton County Jail. Tremendous history down here. You can feel it every time you walk the streets. You and I have talked about it lots of times before. And as I mentioned, it doesn't seem like very many years ago when I sat in a wiry mobile unit and watched the Cumberland Hotel burn, one of the most historic landmarks in downtown Plattsburgh, go to the ground. And a lot of people were sad at that time, and now guess what?
Now we're going to rebuild this.
From the ashes, as they say.
Up it will rise, 50,000 square feet. What is envisioned here, as we said in the office, is that you'll have a 3-story building, you'll have 2 stories of housing and 1 floor of retail. And what I would hope for on the retail side is maybe a drugstore downtown, some little, CVS Kinney Eckerd type thing, but a smaller one. Also, potentially maybe a laundromat or something like that closer in the downtown core. There's a lot of people that live downtown on these 2nd, 3rd, and 4th floors, like Clinton Street, Margaret Street, and Brinkerhoff Street. So they need services here. But also, we wanted to make sure that we can not lose too much parking. And if you look here, you have about 40 some odd spots, and we're going to lose about 8 of them in this project. But again, if you swing the camera around when we walk from City Hall, there's parking spots available down by City Hall, right across the street here. Downtown does not have the crunch that it had some time ago because the county built a new lot, almost 100 spaces, and the city has relieved at least 40 spaces from the inventory. So that has really helped us out considerably. And with the ICV project, we'll add another 180 spaces. We will not have a parking problem downtown. So that's beautiful.
There wasn't very many years ago when the naysayers were saying you can never revitalize the center city again. And look at what we've got.
We are bucking the trend. We
are bucking the trend, but we are unique in so many ways here.
Absolutely. I walked through the marketplace in Burlington the other day, and people always say, why are you trying to be more like Burlington? We're not. We're not, because we don't want to be Burlington. And in fact, there's a lot of things in Burlington that I would not want in this city.
Apples and oranges, really,
That's
when you
right.
stop to think about it.
That's right. But if you look at this downtown right here, and you look at what we have, the old architecture, we have a cute pretty little downtown. All it needs is some tender love and care, a little sprucing up, a little touch of love, and everything's going to be fine. And that's what we're doing. We're going to build some new buildings and bring some more life down here and improve the infrastructure, and it's going to be all the better. You can improve a downtown. We're proving that.
And some of us are old enough to see how the circle comes around. Because when I first came here and got involved in the radio business was 1961. And downtown Plattsburgh was hopping. We broadcast from the National Army stores. We had block parties, dances down here with 4,000 or 5,000 kids. The police were not always happy with what we did. But
They're still not.
But on a Saturday night, the walls were vibrating, pulsating down here in downtown Plattsburgh. And look at this.
Yeah. The amazing thing to me was, and it took some time before I realized it, we are the largest city north of the Syracuse-Albany line in all of the North Country. The largest city, larger than Watertown, larger than Glens Falls. We are the largest one. And you look at the small entrepreneurs, what they're doing here. Look at the Cornerstone Bookshop. That's a long-term resident in the downtown. And
we like to promote Nancy every chance we get because she's wonderful and she loves history as we love history.
Absolutely. But she's also got this record store across the street
right across the street that people may not be totally aware of. Yeah.
And then right next to her is the Coffee Cat. Now remember the little tiny cramped Coffee Cat that was down by Evergreen Bank? This one here, this is New Age IKEA all the way inside this building.
Isn't it cool?
It's great. It's like picking up a Montreal coffee shop and dropping it in downtown Plattsburgh. I think she's done a tremendous job. Patty Walden should be so proud of herself, and we were able to get some state funding to help on the second and third floor for her to rehab all these apartments up here. So we got about $800,000 in last year to help downtown merchants to revitalize Mr. Wu and his Chinese restaurant.
Our dear friend, Mr. Wu, what a guy.
And Chris, the soup maker over on Clinton Street. If you haven't been on Clinton Street to try this soup, the Adirondack Soup Kitchen, I think it's Adirondack Soup. I always tell him it's a soup kitchen. He gets mad at me. He's like, soup kitchen is where they don't pay for the food. And I said, well, but I used to go to them, so I like to call it a soup kitchen. There was a time in my day, you remember, when I didn't have too much, and I used to go. So he's the soup guy.
We've all been down that road before.
Yeah. And Chris is doing a great job, and Heritage Copy Center has been down here for so long. Affordable Furniture is an anchor. Park and Post, all right, when's the last time we had a Park and Post in the downtown? Now we have two of them. At Park and Post, we have Herb Carpenter's new place right down on Bridge Street. There's some really, really good facades that have gone on the front of the buildings. And let's not forget that there was a mayor before me named Clyde Rabideau who had a whole heck of a lot to do with some of this stuff, because it was through his vision of the facade program that this ball started rolling, but we were able to pick it up and bring it up another level. And he had some impact on this. Not every mayor always pats another mayor on the back, but I'm going to pat him on the back because Clyde did a great job for this city for 10 years.
We talked about it then, and we don't mind talking about it now. We've had him Calvin and I have had him in the car with us doing those little city tours, saying what was here then, what is here now, what is the vision for the future.
Right. And, if you went back into those tapes and then brought it to today, you'd see the difference and what's going to happen with the next mayor you walk around with. Now, by then, you're going to be about 60. And
we got to be here. Calvin had already committed to 2014 for the big celebration of the Battle of Plattsburgh.
Good. Okay,
we don't know who's going to push who in the wheelchair, but we're going to be here.
Well, that'd be something.
It's a good thing. We're happy to talk about, and we don't mind blowing our own horn because this is our town.
That's right. It is our town. And look down through here, this little Mexican restaurant, the Smoked Pepper. There are people that come from Montreal to go to this restaurant. And now they have this outdoor seating area, which I hope gets going this year. It's kind of floundered for the last year or so. And across over there is Iris's. Giovanni's, downtown Italian. Arnie's is still here. The English pub. Downtown Plattsburgh has become the eatery of the area. With the old ones and the new ones. I love it. The fact that people are willing to invest down here is an indication that our business community feels solid in the direction in which the community overall is going. And that is a reflection upon what we're doing in City Hall and what they do in the private sector. And I'm very happy with that.
So where will our little walk take us next?
Well, let's go down to the Federal Building.
All right, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, Calvin reminded me the last time we took a little walking tour downtown in 98 or 99, we wanted to do it before the turning of the millennium. The gas was, 98 or 99? But now look.
It's $2.39 a gallon. We're going up to $2.50 this year. This is incredible.
Well, actually, we only moved a block south,
right?
But we want to stop here for a reason so we can get a good look at the Bridge Street.
Right. Now you see these guys over here. You see this crowd right here. This is the Italian crowd of Plattsburgh. These are my Goombas. This is Savario on the left and Mikey on the right, and they're the ones that run the Giovanni's and Pizza Bono. Paisano, che buona, Slanovici.
I love it.
So they're playing a big role in what happens. Savario was willing enough to invest more in the downtown, and he opened Giovanni's Trattoria. And as you can see on the front side of it, we've taken out most of the walls except for one, which will also come out this year, of that outdoor seating area. Opening that up, we're cleaning it up. We're going to take those trees out. New trees will go in. And that side is all going to be brick paving, all the way around Shaboom's here, all the way down around the corner. Up on this end, you'll have some benches and a little fountain, and down on the bottom part, again, that clock we talked about. But this is going to be a 3-stage seating area with about 3 tables per stage. And it's going to really enhance the ambiance. It'll be all brick paving with wrought iron fencing at about 2 feet high around it. So that way it's not a hangout where people sit on the ledges and things such as that. Across the street, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to extend that sidewalk out and make it just 2 travel lanes. We'll lose about 4 spots here doing this, which we just talked earlier about 8 spots, so we'd lose 12 spots in the downtown. But again, we're picking up 196 with the ICV project down in the parking lot. So as long as people are willing to walk an extra few feet, we should be okay on parking. I don't perceive a problem there. And we'll also have 3 stages of outdoor seating over there. So lunchtime downtown Plattsburgh, Giovanni's, McDonough's if they have food, Zachary's, Bogart's, all of those will be availing that area outside their business for outdoor seating. Pizza Bono already does it up here in Woodstock, also does it over here. So you're really hitting the core of the downtown with your outdoor seating area, and also up on Clinton Street here at the Adirondack Soup Market, they have it there, and also Peabody's threw out a few chairs last year. So this will just be a continuation of that with the outdoor seating areas and the improvement of the downtown. The sidewalk we stand on right now is all concrete. This too will go to brick paving, as will this street area out here.
It will be so cool.
Won't it?
Oh my God! How many towns have you been in where you really enjoy that?
Absolutely.
Some of the old towns with cobblestones, like Porta Vallarta, where I just was a few weeks ago, or in the brick paving.
That's right, and it brings a certain ambiance to it. It brings a certain feeling to it that we're setting ourselves apart from everybody else around us. This is going to be downtown Plattsburgh's future. Is this improvement, this infrastructure improvement? And the good thing is that the state of New York is really bellying up, saying, here's some money, we're going to help you to do this. We don't foot any of these bills on our own. If it wasn't for our state Representative Betty Little, Ron Stafford, let me tell you, Ron Stafford was a catalyst to rail yard reuse. George Pataki, the governor, catalyst on that. Working together from Plattsburgh to Albany through our state reps, we've been able to do that, and I'm really, really happy with that. It's it's just a good thing to know that we're improving it all around, and that hopefully the entire quality of life of this city is lifted up by the culture change that occurs downtown, because we don't want it to be just that downtown drinking thing anymore. We want it to be an arts and entertainment center.
And we're doing this standing on a street corner under the most beautiful blue springtime skies that you could ever imagine. Nary a cloud in the skies, temperatures in the 30s, with a vision of hope for the future. Couldn't get much better than this.
No, you can't. You picked the right day for this. You and Calvin have good timing. But you can see the downtown cleanup taking place. You see a guy out here in front of McDonough's.
That's my grandson, Chad.
Is it? All right, so Chad's cleaning up over here. The city workers were just cleaning up over where the Cumberland Hotel was. The downtown merchants have been getting out there and getting more active in the downtown. We'll be looking at the stage area that they're going to be helping to sponsor this year. Really, really an exciting time for the
We
downtown.
haven't talked a lot about the events that happen here on a basis, but 25 years ago you had an occasional downtown celebration, a 4th of July parade. But look what we do now.
I know,
from the
isn't it
Mayor's
something?
Cup to the 4th of July to the Battle of Plattsburgh commemoration, which gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
And the Battle of Plattsburgh Commemoration Weekend actually has the better parade. I mean,
It's amazing.
Yeah, if you want to be honest about it, our 4th of July parade somewhat pales in comparison to the Battle of Plattsburgh parade. They're able to, on that day, though, to get more people that are available, because Canada Day sometimes falls close to the day we celebrate 4th on, and it makes it trouble to get the marching bands. But The downtown celebrations have extended out. This year it'll be the 4th of July is on a Monday, then Mayor's Cup from Tuesday through Saturday. Again, another week-long celebration. But now we're taking it up a step further. Every year they say, oh, geez, Dan, I wish there were more things happening downtown. And we're like, well, we got Mayor's Cup, we got this. No, we need more. Well, now you're going to have more, because now we're going to have a downtown stage, and the downtown merchant's going to sponsor that.
People love it.
They do.
I mean, look what's happened to the band shell over the last few years.
Absolutely.
Look at the mammoth crowds standing last year in the pouring down rain
That's
and
right.
screaming and hollering and loving every minute of it.
Yeah.
The outdoor entertainment will really make a huge difference.
Well, that's the exciting part of this whole thing, is the fact that you can fix it downtown, but you need people in it.
Yeah.
And you need the attractions to bring them down. And that's where the outdoor stage and, of course, the Strand Theater are going to play a major role in the shift of the cultural change of downtown Plattsburgh.
I love it. Where to next? Now, or we got to go to the
Now we're going to go to the federal building.
All right,
Okay.
All right, we're just around the corner on Breakerhoff Street off Margaret Street and looking at the federal office building. What's significant about this site now?
Well, what's going to happen is by December 31st of this year, this becomes city inventory. It'll be one of our buildings. And what we're going to do is, out on this large lawn in front of it, you can see the flagpole, the tall evergreen, and all the tall bushes over there. What we're going to do is level this stuff out of here. The flagpole may stay, but it'll have to be repainted and all. We want to make sure that we do things with our flags in front of state office buildings, city office buildings. But the green stuff here is going to go, and what we're going to do is we're going to put in a better park. And one of the local service clubs will be involved in that. I've been approached by Kiwanis on this. The Arts Bank over here, NCCCA, wants to be involved on it, and we can get a design from artists, local artists. And this is what we're considering our arts culture district for downtown Plattsburgh. This is where the entertainment in downtown Plattsburgh is going to take place. So put that outdoor seating area here with some benches and a fountain, and make a nice park with those monuments dedicated to people who are part of our history. And then the downtown workers have a place to go to have a lunch sandwich. And right now we don't have a park downtown where you sit on the bench and do that. Many cities have that, and it adds character to it. The facades on the buildings on Brinkerhoff Street are some of the nicest facades in downtown Plattsburgh. If you look at what they did over the years, and money they invested, the painting and everything else, they did a great job here. You have a chiropractic office, the Peaceful Dove, you have insurance company, a taco local, different businesses out of here, and we try to support them as much as we can. But then over here, the federal building is actually going to become used by the arts community. What we'll do is we'll have some classrooms in there for kids and for adults to learn music, artistic things. Those things that, for so many generations, it's always been baseball, football, gymnastics, whatever it is. Well, there are kids that are into more than just that. There are kids that want to have artistic expression and musical expression, and they don't have places to go to do it. So hopefully we can get the artisans of the area to teach children through senior citizens different artistic programs in this building. Also, we're working with SUNY to bring a SUNY presence downtown, potentially with the Small Business Center, to put them in that building also. Next to it is, of course, the Strand Theater, and that's one of the biggest, most exciting things I could say is going on for me personally. My partner John is on the board over there. We are truly moving forward in this city towards an arts place like the Flint Theater in Burlington. It's just a little bit smaller than the Flint, and bringing it back to its 1924-28 state of originality, and the arts communities to be commended for that. They've really stepped up. The city stepped up, they stepped up, and the community now is stepping up with their dollars. And hopefully within 2 or 3 years, this thing will be done.
How many people were ready to write it off?
Oh, not only write it off, but no one ever paid the taxes on it.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah, but people were ready to write it off as impossibility.
Yeah.
Sylvia Stack and the board she's put together, very encouraging, exciting people. It's just like the farmers market. I'm so excited about the group that's going to run that. This group truly, and now that the Council on the Arts and NCCCA have merged in together, we truly have a one-angle shot here at getting this stuff done properly as a joint effort, and it's going to happen. And this theater is going to host downtown events of music, theater, Adirondack Regional Theater, whoever is going to go in there and do the local shows. I mean, this is what is going to help the downtown restaurants. This is what is going to help to change the culture of the downtown. You know, I've long said that we need to go from Jenny Cream Ale to Heineken. All right, now I'm not a drinker. You know I'm not a drinker.
Okay.
But going from Jenny Cream Ale to Heineken is not the easiest thing to do because it takes time, it takes effort, and it takes the will of the people to do it. And I think we're at Michelob Light.
I love it.
We're getting there.
I love it.
We're getting there.
Or one of each.
Or you can say from Boone's Farm to a fine Chardonnay.
But you know, the best part of it is you're doing this within the lifetime of many people who remember what life was like in downtown Plattsburgh 50 years ago,
Yeah, and
40 years ago, 30 years ago.
The emotional attachment of the Strand Theater, how many people saw their first movie there? How many people saw their first show there? And now they may see another one, you know, where they thought that it was not going to happen again, and not happen at the level that this will be, because, I mean, this is an amazing effort that they have, and it's $2.3 million to get this done, but they're well on the way. The governor's supporting it. I support it. Our assemblymen and senators support it. Everybody's supporting this, and that's a very positive
And
thing.
in most towns this size, the little neighborhood theaters are gone.
That's right, they're gone. But you know, the revival is on ours, and just like Schenectady has it, and Albany has it, and more and more cities are realizing what they're losing. Some of that old school stuff is really the fabric of a community. You know, you can go as new as you want, but some of that old school stuff is really what holds the communities together. And revitalizing that and retroing is the way to go.
Well, I think you're going to have the best of all worlds when we're finished here.
Well, I certainly hope so. I mean, I think we're going to have new and old mixed in well together, good facades, new facades, and entertainment and art. And also out here to have art displayed. You know, we won't have giant things like SUNY has on their lawn because there's not enough lawn here. And plus they get in trouble every time they put something new out there anyway.
But how many towns have you been in where you've been attracted to a street corner like this,
Right.
where the local arts groups have their things displayed all around there during the summertime, different group, different weeks, different festivals,
Successful cities.
successful cities.
That's where they are.
I'm attracted, my wife is attracted
Yeah.
to those things,
Yeah.
and I can envision that right here as you talk to me, and I love it.
Absolutely. And that's where, when you visit other cities, you go down into Virginia or into Rhode Island or Massachusetts, and you find those communities that are enriching themselves with that art. They are the ones, as communities, that seem to be thriving compared to the ones that are falling apart and the infrastructure is shot. So I think we really, again, have something that goes Cortland Wood, beeping the horn.
I could almost hear him sing the national anthem
I
in
could
the
have sworn I
Canadian.
heard "Oh Canada" when he was driving by.
I love it. All right, and we're going to move one more time.
Yeah, let's go ahead and shoot down over here to where the outdoor concert area is going to be.
Let's do it. Calvin wanted to set up on the east side of the Margaret Street on the sidewalk so we could look up and down the street. One of the biggest kicks for me is to get you've seen all the old postcards of downtown Plattsburgh, and the old cars and the facades and so on. And now this is the way it looks in late March 2005, just before Good Friday, the day before Good Friday. And
Holy Thursday.
Huh?
Holy
It's called
Thursday.
Holy Thursday is today. Yes, I will be going to Mass tonight. You can count
Right
on
after
it.
Repentant Wednesday.
Yeah, I've had a few of those too. But anyway, this is what downtown Margaret Street looks like now, but it will undergo some tremendous changes in the future. And one of the other reasons we stood on this side of the street is so we can look down through this beautiful area and envision what's going to be here in a very short time.
Right, and this is where on the satellite imagery earlier, there was still a building here.
Yep.
And that building is gone now, so you can see right down to the farmer's market. And actually, the way we were just facing on Margaret Street, think about the number of years that it was one-way traffic on Margaret Street going the other way.
Isn't that amazing?
No one ever looked this way unless they
Yeah.
were walking on a sidewalk. But now when you drive into downtown Plattsburgh, it's a whole different view coming up on Key Bank in that corner. Now down here, what's going to happen is at the base of this hill, there's going to be a stage put in. We figure we can fit about 1,500 to 2,000 people up in this grassy area, and we're going to improve this spring, and we're going to improve the soil down there and make sure it's nice and even, some nice sod in there. But we're going to put a concrete pad with a stage on it, potentially put one of those tents around it like we do at Mayor's Cup every year. And the Downtown Association will be paying for the talent to be on there, but also what I'd like to do is get back into having the outdoor movies downtown, which were very successful when we were doing that.
Were.
So this could be the arts entertainment section. It's a natural amphitheater feeling with the West Telecom building and also with this building over here to the left, that it kind of flows up in a pie shape. And it gives us the opportunity of people standing from here down to where that transformer is to see the band on the stage, which will be at the same level when the stage is up 4 feet from the concrete pad that goes. There's another drop down there. We'll do some improvements down through here. Then the future of this area is going to be determined through architectural designs. This will be a short-term fix to a long-term goal, but I would hope that this would be a performing arts center for the long-term down here. The downtown partnership needs to meet on that. And there is one thing that I have done since I've been mayor, and that's to bring the community in for their input on these things, not to just to try to do it on my own. I really feel as though my department heads and the public, when they come in and give us their opinions, and our volunteer groups that have helped out, the Waterfront Oversight Committee, the Downtown Partnership, and the others, they've done a great job at trying to give us better ideas on how to do it right rather than to make mistakes and then be criticized for it. So there'll be some changes down here on the short term, and long term I'm hoping for some really good things, but it's a nice natural area to have this.
That's wonderful. Now we can, you've already talked about a lot of things that are going to be happening down there on Durkee Street. And I was talking to somebody who hasn't lived in Plattsburgh for 40 years via email last night, and I said Durkee Street, and they didn't know what the heck I was talking about. So I had to go back to the River Street days,
right,
and Nash's bowling alley and things that they could focus on.
Right.
I want to take digital pictures and send them to them via the internet so they can see what we're in for here.
Yeah, and because that used to be all build-up down where this parking lot now, and now it's not. And from this view right here, we were talking earlier that maybe the garage doors would be viewable. They are viewable on the farmers market down there now, and we'll get down there a little sooner or a little bit later on. But if you look across Durkee Street right now, what's going to happen is that large building we talked about that gets built to the south of the market, the right of the market, but then on the left of the market, we're going to have another building and a parking garage going in there. In the middle here, from the farmers market coming up to this entertainment area, since there'll be so many parking spots in the garages, we'll be able to do the recreational green space area down there, but what we want is an outdoor skating rink for the winter. That's the goal. Just like a Rockefeller Center or some other place, if we can get that out there, then finally in the wintertime, we will have something to do in downtown Plattsburgh as compared to, Saranac Lake does a great job with their Winterfest, and other places have canals and places where people just go out and go on their skates and go. We would be able to actually have a nice one like Providence or Rockefeller Center and others, get a sponsor for it, and put that thing in there, and in the summer it would just be a little wading pool, not a pool for people to jump in, but a nice reflection pool. But in the winter we could actually get some outdoor activities. And with Maui North right next to it here, we could actually use this hill for some of their competition type stuff for the snowboards and things like that, to again enhance the outdoor sporting activities in downtown Plattsburgh. So I think it bodes well for the future that we'd be able to use the land multiple uses.
And for those people who are just turning their televisions on now, we're sorry you missed the first part of the program, but it'll no doubt be aired again where you are, and you'll be able to see it again. The fact is, we're talking not just about dreams, but about some of these things will very, very soon become a reality.
That's right, and that's the key factor, is we need to make sure that as these go forward, that the little ones are popping up and the bigger ones are now coming into fruition. And these smaller ones will be done before the big ones are completed, but they're going to be in the same construction cycle. This year, the Waterfront Hotel and the ICV project are both slated to be in the ground, with the ICV project done by December 31st. And the hotel done by January, February on its full interior. So
it's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And we sit back every day in city government going, oh, please, no delays. Oh, please, no delays. And let's get this thing done, hammer it down. We've done so much work to make this happen. The developers have done so much, just trying to get this thing to go, because once it goes, I don't think there's any stopping it, to be quite honest.
I love it. The mayor, when we started our interview a while ago today, the mayor apologized because his office was messy. Based on all these things you've told us today, I expected it to be far messier than that. When you're dealing with that much paperwork, you're just moving around and talk to somebody on the phone that needs to have something done now.
Thank God I have 14 department heads with messy desks also.
Oh, my goodness.
Each one of them has such a role.
It's the clean desk that you have to worry about.
Yeah, they have such a role to play in all of this, and from community development to engineering to environmental to building inspector to public works, MLD, all of it. Everybody all told together, and I'm sure I just left somebody out who's going to be upset because I didn't mention them. But every single department in this city has a role to play in every one of these developments. And they can't happen without that work. And they, honest to God, they don't get paid enough money for what they do. In government doesn't pay, and private sector does. But in government, you can really feel a payback from when you see your accomplishments, and that's, I think, what keeps people in public service, is that they can sometimes see the difference. I'm sure you see that in probation.
If this sounds like a rah-rah 90-minute commercial for downtown Plattsburgh, it absolutely is. It almost makes me want to stand up and salute and play the national and Canadian national anthems behind it, because it is exciting. It's exciting for me. You have the passion, and that's what it takes. We've mentioned the words quality and life and quality of life several times during this interview. It's a favorite phrase of mine, and one that I have used to promote this area elsewhere for all the years since I've been here. We are special. We have a special group of people here, as you've talked about many, many times, and we do have a special hunk of mud here in Clinton County, don't we?
Don't we? And we know how to use it. We know how to sculpt this mud, and it's been very good. And just the fact that other communities look at us with envy, and I know they do, because I travel the state and I see other communities really struggling. And although we have our hard times here, and it's not always easy, it's sometimes difficult, bottom line is in the bad times we still are getting some good times. So we know how to do it, and we should be proud of ourselves.
And we are. Let's continue our walk.
Okay.
This is amazing. All right, we're in downtown Plattsburgh, not very far away from the brand new doors on the farmers market.
Isn't that something? These went in this morning, Gordie, and the doors have been in, but the actual opening on the outside through the tin was accomplished this morning, and overhead doors came in and did that. And I think it looks great. We're going to get some design on the building, but this is what is going to allow the crafters the ability to be in here, and to be able to not have to deal with the wind, which goes through the open spot. The farmers will be out there, crafters inside, and this also makes it more usable for the springtime through the late fall, and even up to selling Christmas trees in the winter right before Christmas time. So, the lighting is being redone in there. We're going to look at even enhancing the building beyond that, as long as we're successful. But this has definitely changed, and I hope for the best, where it's finally going to become what it was intended to be.
I have a feeling that there are people watching our little corner around northern New York who haven't been to downtown Plattsburgh in a while, because this program is watched through the Tri-County region all the way down to Malone and Brushton and Moira, my old stamping ground, and people are saying, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
We haven't been there in 15 years. Let's go to the farmers market this summer.
Yeah, and you know what? That's one of the realities of Plattsburgh, that with the Northway and the way in which traffic goes by, a lot of people know about the mall, they know the stores in Route 3, but a lot of people don't come downtown to experience it. We've been getting more of that through the years lately, and we see a bigger influx of tourism down here, and people going to the Naked Turtle on the waterfront, and that's all going to enhance with traffic for the hotel and for our bass fishing tournaments that we have going on and all that. But anybody from the Tri-County region, come on back downtown and get into these restaurants and go to the farmers market on a Saturday or a Wednesday. In fact, I think 4 days a week they're actually going to be open down here through the season. So this great opportunity to get down here, and if you're a farmer, by all means, contact the Parkers up in Chazy who are involved in this, and find out whether or not there's a spot here for you, because I consider Franklin, Essex, and Clinton County to be the same region and the same people. So by all means, you're welcome to come down here.
Fortunately, our thinking has been more global lately, and we've talked less about Clinton County than we have about the Lake Champlain region, the Triangle of Excellence, because we always have to include Vermont and Quebec. Right. It's just very, very special place. The farmers market itself is right on the banks of the Saranac River. I live on the banks of the Saranac River, west of here about 5 miles, and we're just a stone's throw from one of the most fabulous lakes on the face of the earth, Lake Champlain. And talk about tourist attractions. It's something I've been promoting for years for my family and friends who live across the country, and yeah, we hope that this becomes a real tourist destination right here in downtown Plattsburgh.
And I think it will. And the more that we bring access to the river and to the lake, the more successful we already see ourselves being with that. And with the rail yard turnover especially. But right behind this building on the Saranac River, there's a natural kayak flow through there.
There really is.
There is. And the DEC said they would work with us to improve that while the cleanup is done of the old NYSEG gas plant property. So we have a potential of a kayak run down on the Saranac River that would be a tourist attraction within itself. And again, if in the wintertime we can start to key in on some of these winter activities, and we get snow here, there's none on the ground right now because we've been experiencing 40 degrees every day for the last 2 weeks. But we have those times where we could have festivals and outdoor activities which would be very, very welcoming to the entire region to come in and enjoy themselves here. So Battle of Plattsburgh, they do the Israel Greens Tavern has been in this building before.
Such fun. What good times,
absolutely, huh? Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, is bringing our people together and having a good time. And letting others know how well we can do it. Because I can't tell you how many people have told me that one of the nicest things about having relatives visit when they come back and visit in Plattsburgh is that you don't have to sit down in the living room and talk to them all the time when you can bring them to Mayor's Cup. All right, so rather than sitting and being bored with your relatives, tell them to schedule it during Mayor's Cup or the Battle of Plattsburgh weekend, and then you'll definitely have some things to do with them while they're here. You can hit a movie, but you want some outdoor things. You want to be able to go to some entertainment where you interact with people and show off what your city is, what your community is. That's their chance to do it, and a lot of people are scheduling their families in during Mayor's Cup, and I don't blame them. I do it too.
We've all through the years we've searched for places where there are similar activities to vacation, and here we are in our own backyard, facing away from the camera.
I'm sorry about that, Calvin.
Oh, that's all right. In our own backyard, we have all of this,
right.
And it seemed like, to me at least, many years ago, like we were almost afraid to promote it. And now we can't wait to get on the soapbox.
You know what? And I think what the catalyst was to all of this was the closure of Plattsburgh Air Force Base.
You're right. Absolutely.
Absolutely. This community...
We wouldn't admit that for several years, and I was deeply wounded when that happened. But look, baby, look at us now.
Yeah, and it's because this community stood up and said, no, we're not going to take this on the chin like this. And they fought back, and they allowed themselves to grow and to experience what we had the chance to experience, which is to bring us all together to a better level. And we're not dependent upon that one thing anymore. We're not a college town and a Air Force Base town anymore. We're a city in a region which has a college, which is one of the greatest assets it could ever ask for, but its people are determining what it is. It's not the outside forces doing it anymore.
I love it here. Where are we going to go next?
Oh, let's go down to the waterfront and see where we'll build a hotel.
I think that's a good idea. Yeah, we can't take the camera away yet. There are a couple of things we want to mention about this end of the parking lot.
Calvin's going to kill us on editing on this,
So, no, this is one of those programs that goes on the way you see it, baby, is the way you got it. So with all of our foibles. So we're looking south.
Right.
And what's going to be down here?
Okay, if you look at that pole straight ahead of Calvin here with the lights all on the top, to the right of it will be the ICV building, the 5-story, 55,000 square foot building. To the left of it, from Broad Street coming over to where about this bus stand is over here, that is where the parking garage second level will be. Another second level will be on the south side parking lot on the other side of Broad Street. The nice thing about these parking garages is that they don't have ramps because we're coming right off Broad Street. Due to the incline of Broad Street coming down, we can ramp right off at the right level and bring them into both sides off of Broad Street. So we save ourselves probably about 15 spots by being able to do that. Yeah,
that's great.
So that's what's going to happen down in this end of the parking lot. Then again, in the farmers market portion here, this will all remain parking lot until the next garage is built and also the next building. But when they are built, a lot of this is going to become green space in between, and you'll have that park area with the outdoor skating and that whole area flowing right up through the concert area, right up to that federal building, into the bank, into the Strand Theater. And that is the connector from the Saranac River Farmers Market, Crafters Market, right up to the Strand. And it'll be just a center of a downtown which will have life to it.
I can feel it. All right, let's take a look. Before Calvin hit the on button, Mayor Dan Stewart, the city of Plattsburgh, said, Gordie, 5 years ago, nobody nobody believed what would be happening in 2005. Wow. You own the property.
Yeah, we own this property now. Imagine
This
that.
was a rail yard.
Yeah, a rail yard. And I mean, if we go back to 2000, you go back to Frank Pass was over here where the clam shack is now, and there's a parking lot over there in the Spirit of Plattsburgh, which had come in. Didn't do so well. We're going to have another boat in here, I believe, starting in 2006. It'll be a smaller boat, 150 or so passenger, which I think will fit better what it is we're trying to accomplish. But, Frank moved on. He retired, and we went forward with that project, which was the rollover to cause this project. Now, for us to acquire this land, it was quite a process, but the state of New York, the governor, he stepped up to the plate, and Senator Stafford, and they said, Mayor, you're right. If we move that rail yard, you're going to open up that waterfront property, and the governor had a waterfront program that he really wanted to showcase. We got $3.5 million to do that. We built a new rail yard down at Bluff Point, built a new transshipping facility by the Public Works building on the new base, and now this land by deed belongs to the city of Plattsburgh. 12.9 acres, 14 point something with the underwater that goes along with it. And all of this is ours. And with it, what we're going to do is we're going to have our public park, the hotel, and the boat ramp that's going to go in. The angle that Calvin's shooting at right now, down towards that water pollution control plant, it elbows in there, and right at that elbow is where, as we saw on the map earlier, that's where the boat launch is going to be. A little bit to the left over here is the old salt building. That was a machine shop building. It's not structurally sound, so unfortunately it has to come down. The developer really wanted to keep it and get the tax credits for restoring a historic building, but he just can't do it structurally. So that's coming down, and the hotel is actually going to be just this side of it. So from the road we're standing on to that building, this will be the road coming in that goes around the hotel, and the hotel will be on this plot of land right in front of us over here. And right behind Calvin, all to the right here where he's swinging right now, and going all the way out to the point in the cove over here to the east, that is all going to be public park land. So it's all going to be green space. It's going to, benches, open space to throw a frisbee and have Bowser jump in the air and catch it. And it's the first step towards an overall waterfront park, as we talked about earlier, that when MLD moves, we'd have 8 acres of land that we can make into a waterfront park just for the public to use for picnics and events and things such as that. This all goes in hand with what's happened in the city already. If you go on the old base and you go to the marina, that's the Noon Rotary that's doing that project. It's a $150,000 project to restore that marina and put in a pavilion, and they're just doing a great job down there. And a little further up is Sailors Point Beach, where the Adirondack Builders Association went in, built the seawall, put in the pavilion, fixed it, put in new picnic tables, cooking equipment, all of that. No charge to the residents, just like Rotary, no charge to the residents. Then this down here, the state of New York, all they did for us so we can be successful here. And then a little further down at Wilcox Dock, you have the Healthy Lung Trail that the American Lung Association and AM Rotary were in on. Didn't cost a taxpayer a penny, and you have workout stations.
After all the controversy surrounding Wilcox Dock, look at it.
And now it's going to be used even further. The city's applying for ownership of Wilcox Dock, and we're putting in a temporary boat launch there for the next year so we can get these bass tournaments in here in downtown Plattsburgh. For so long, the city of Plattsburgh...
Yeah,
he's
turning his head like, I didn't know if he meant
Gordie
we were
and I are old buds, and we start talking, and it's like the camera's not even here, And but you look over here at the marina, up there at Wilcox Dock, we'll take ownership of that land, but the temporary boat launch allows us to keep that activity in downtown Plattsburgh. We've been paying through I Love New York. The city applies for the money and gets the money for the bass tournaments. We have 4 this year, but they've been held outside the city limits. But it was important enough to the region that we sponsored them that way. Now we have found a way to hold them in the city, and we're going to do that. So you're going to have a lot of boats out here. The Bassmasters National Tournament is in here. The FLW Tournament is in here. 2 regional Bassmasters, one from Connecticut, one from New York Regional. They'll be in here. Anywhere from 50 to 225 boats per event.
Think about it.
Oh, the economic impact is absolutely incredible. It's hotel rooms, it's restaurants, it's gas, it's all those things that we wanted to spend money on. And they're doing it. And that is helping us out. So the waterfront properties of the city, when I came in office, I think it was 27% of the waterfront the city controlled, and we're up over 60% now. So we just signed for the National Park Service transfer of land of all the old base property to us. It's absolutely astounding how much we've taken over. And now this will be redone. This is what absolutely helps downtown Plattsburgh.
This is a very special piece of land.
Sure it
right
is.
here.
And the thing is, we don't want to make a mistake on it.
Yeah.
We don't want to make a mistake. And a lot of people felt a mistake was done on Route 9, the way that it was built up in the 70s. And, but there was a time when no one was going to invest there. So they took the investment they could get, and it was good for Plattsburgh at that time. But we lost the view shed of the lake in total for the most part. And we don't want to lose the view shed down here. That's why the public park is going up on the waterfront side, out on this point where the public has that access. There'll be a community boat launch right down here in the cove where people, young and old, can learn how to sail if they want to, and the sailing club locally is going to be running it and storing their boats over here by the marina. And the Naked Turtle behind us, I mean, look at what they did. They came in and took a bankrupt piece of property.
Oh yeah, think about that.
And look at these boats sitting out here. These are people that are coming back to put their boat in this year, and I think they're going to thrive once this hotel's in. I told them already.
Are you kidding me?
We're
That's
building,
a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, we have to put all new water and sewer in here for the hotel and for the public parking areas and all that stuff, the investments. We're also bringing a line out here to Dock Street because we want whatever is built here in the future to be able to tie in without having to dig something back up in order to get the job done. So we're thinking a little ahead on the development of the potentials of what could be in here, and we're going to invest in that infrastructure. But as I was telling you earlier in the office, the nice thing about this is the state of New York has put another $500,000 at least into this, and the city is putting in about $400,000, maybe $700,000. But the hotel's going to pay us $65,000 a year for leasing the space. So over 10 years, the city investment is paid off. Again, it will not reflect on the taxpayer on the bonding, and it'll be a fully taxable piece of property, just like the Cumberland Hotel property will be fully taxable, just like the ICV one will be fully taxable. And I think that's the important thing about how we're developing our parcels of land and leasing the land in order for them to build on it as they're fully taxable.
And all of this requires a lot of support. Even though much of it was your personal vision, we do have some amazing people here in the North Country who have chosen to make this their home. Thank God for that.
Well, absolutely. People willing to invest in themselves, but also, and let's make this as clear as possible, if I didn't have a common council for the past 5 years like I had that was willing to take a risk and take a chance, and they got away from that old behavior of that'll never work,
yeah,
or why would we want to do that, let's just not change. They were willing to step up and say, we deserve better in this community, let's do it, and they put their name on the line, and it worked. It worked, and they have, without them, myself, the department heads, anybody else, we never could have done what we had to do if they weren't with us on that. And I think that has to be, and some of them just lost office in the last election. They were so important in this process, and it's one of the things that, until it comes to reality, people don't realize what you've done, and unfortunately they weren't able to capitalize off that politically. But we have a new council with new members who are supportive. So I guess we're in that direction now where the city's moving in this direction, and we're not going to roll back the clock. And I think that's wonderful. And I think the fact that the common councils, the councilors over the last 5 years, every single one of them have been willing to stand up and say, yeah, that's good. That's great.
And I think, as you said, within a very few years, everything we've talked about today will be here.
Yeah, and you know what? Even if only half of it's here, I'll be satisfied. But I think all of it's going to be here. I truly believe that everything that we talked about today will be developed within the next 3 years, and at least in the ground started and moving along.
I love it so far. Thanks to all the people who've helped make this dream come true. Thanks to you, Dan Stewart, for being a good friend all these years. We both have come a long way.
Yeah, I think we have.
We've all come a long way since I first met you, and I can't even remember. You were in the Air Force, I think, when I first met you.
And we all have a story to tell, don't we?
We all have stories to tell.
Even Calvin.
And that's that's one of the reasons this program and everything that Calvin does on Hometown Cable is successful, because everybody does have a story to tell.
Yeah, and we were talking about it earlier because we were talking about how the local newscasts really can't put on the air in their time frames the stories that people need to learn about as much as possible, and you're providing that to us, and I really appreciate it. And I hope actually that we can work something out together where the city gets updates on the air like this from you and Calvin on a constant basis, and I think that the people deserve to have that information brought out to them. We'll find a way to do that.
We would love to do it, and I hope this kind of program, as long as we're patting ourselves on the back, and I'm almost young enough to do that, we're convincing people who are watching this to take ownership
Yeah.
of something besides the plot of land on which they live, to realize that this is their community. It is their obligation, if they like what you're doing, to support it, if not, tell you why, and to tell other people about it. And once they all take ownership of the things we've talked about today, then we'll really have a nice package in this.
And more the community has come to that level where they're willing to support some of these projects that were naysayed in the beginning. But I think people are starting to realize our full potential can be realized here, and the people can be patted on the back for all they've done. I mean, consider again, closure of the base, lowering of the Canadian dollar, everything we went through, but the progress we made in between. Very few communities that I've ever visited, and very few that exist, could ever be able to do that. This community has a lot of chutzpah.
It really does. Yeah. Plus a few other things, too. Yeah. Thank you all for watching. Thanks to you all for supporting what we do. We'll do it for a long time to come, Lord willing, and if the creek doesn't rise. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.